What becomes of the households when the circle of labor grows heavy with hands that have no true work to hold?
The storehouse keeper gathered more workers than the grain needed turning.
Some stood at the threshing floor, retying the same bundles through the long afternoons, while the fields beyond the boundary stones waited for their turn at the plow.
The fire at the central hearth still burned, yet fewer voices spoke of the next season's sowing.
In the workshop, the master woodworker watched as new benches were planed, only to be planed again the following day.
The young ones who had been brought in to strengthen certain family lines sat apart, their tools growing dull from lack of use.
The elders at the evening meal noticed the bread tasted the same, yet the number of mouths at the table had grown without the yield of the land increasing.
When the rains came late and the storehouse reserves began to thin, the keeper spoke of a new pattern stone said to read the grain and guide the hands without error.
The workers who had spent seasons at idle tasks were told their places would soon be taken by the stones, silent counting. Some returned to their own hearths.
Others walked the paths that led away from the settlement. Seasons turned.
The fields that had once been tended by many now showed wider strips of untended ground, where the boundary grass crept inward.
Children, who should have learned the turning of the soil beside their elders, found fewer skilled hands to stand with them.
The patterned stone remained in its place, its markings unchanged, while the real counting of seed and harvest still fell to those who had always done it.
At the council circle, the keeper spoke again of the stone's coming strength.
Yet the questions that had first arisen beside the cold workshop benches lingered unanswered.
Who would teach the young the weight of a true blade when the idle ones had already been sent away?
What would happen to the trust between households when the work that once bound them was declared finished by a stone that never moved? The land itself began to answer.
Paths once worn smooth by daily labor grew narrow with disuse.
Storehouse ledgers showed smaller returns, even as the keeper claimed greater efficiency.
Elders sat longer at the hearth without new apprentices arriving to learn the old rhythms.
The patterned stone stayed silent while the real work of continuity passed to fewer and fewer.
If the habit of calling hands for show rather than need continues, the settlement will one day find its fields half tended, its storehouses half full, and its children standing at the edges of the working circle, with no one left to show them how the rope of labor is passed from one generation to the next.
The stone will remain, but the households will have already grown quiet.
If the elder's words warmed an ember within your breast, carry that flame beyond your own hearth, speak the remembering by the fire, pass the rope of thought hand to hand, and stand in the circle with your presence. Each voice added to the watch feeds the labor of learning that threads through kin and seasons, keeping the search for truth alive, as we tend not only the self, but the patterns the wind lays across our fields. Leave stones and marks beside the boundary paths to guide a child who comes after. Follow the worn ways to the elders who keep the stores of knowledge. And know that by bringing your flame and your watch to this work, the rope is handed on, and the lesson of the forebears continues its passage.